Hi, my name's Lauren Whitehouse. I'm an analyst covering data protection at the Enterprise Strategy Group. Over the next several minutes, I'm going to discuss data protection in the context of today's realities, specifically how the internet computing era really requires a different approach to safeguarding a critical asset of business today, one's data. And while many vendor solutions can adequately back up and recover data today, it's more about the efficiency in doing so. First, I'd like to provide a reference point for the discussion by describing what ESG believes are the three eras of computing: the transactional era, the distributed era, and the internet era. The transactional computing era sought to automate tasks to create efficiencies in business transactions and lower costs. Computers brought productivity improvements, reliable results, and consistency. Eventually, commercial computing leveraged technology to create competitive advantage, quickly becoming a competitive necessity, to increase customer satisfaction, lower business risk, increase revenue, lower operational costs, and more. Transactional era systems existed in the core and had high visibility. Companies' dependence on these systems meant that downtime could not be afforded. Therefore, reliability and fault tolerance were key. These requirements were accompanied by the need for scale. It was important that systems could keep up with demand, allowing for an increase in workloads, users, capacity, and more, and in a predictable fashion. Transactional era systems were also characterized by limited physical connectivity, a rigidity which drove the next era of computing, the distributed computing era. This era is characterized by smaller, more distributed systems based on commodity components and standard interfaces. These systems focus on issues outside of the core. Applications for this environment still focus on creating efficiency and cost reduction, especially for the individual. As a result, markets for distinct components, applications, and networking emerged. Networking the era's distributed components enabled collaboration, asset sharing, and repurposing. However, distributed data wasn't as accessible, so a distributed client and central server model evolved for data consolidation. The distributed computing era introduced new issues for companies, including a shift from block-based to file-based data, security, data protection, asset management, IT support, and more. As networking capabilities expanded from within sites to between sites, it gave rise to the next era, internet computing. The internet is a connective fabric of the next era, breaking down physical and geographical boundaries. The internet computing era created the potential to create, access, move, locate, delete, store, and manage digital content at any connection point, but it also created security vulnerability. It's easier and faster than ever before to access data and collaborate on a global level, both with trusted and non-trusted users. The nature of data changed too. Digital content is predominantly file-based. It's being generated in larger quantities and richer media types, and duplicates abound due to wider access and distribution. The result? IT systems, processes, personnel are not equipped to handle the onslaught of data. The impact of these three eras is that they created a new demand on IT. Technology shifts within each era created change events. Initially, IT adapted. To do this, typically IT force-fit new usage models into existing processes. This experiment was usually short-lived. Over time, new processes, architecture, and technology caught up. From one era to the next, there was disruption in the vendor landscape, especially where vendors couldn't adapt rapidly enough. Another observation is that the pace of change is accelerating with each era. Finally, it's important to note that each era was additive to the former, not a replacement. Mainframes are still around today, and distributed systems will be around even when cloud computing dominates. So how does this relate to data protection? Many of today's data protection solutions were built for the distributed era. They were designed for client-server, tape-centric strategies, and not designed to meet the scale and performance requirements of today's explosive data growth reality. As data becomes more and more distributed, protecting edge data became less important, and often an afterthought. Today's newer, larger, richer data types and usage models are straining the data protection infrastructure. Data protection consumes IT resources, whether it be storage capacity, CPU cycles, network bandwidth, or IT operational staff, creating multiple points of inefficiency. Reliance on digital assets has increased with each successive era. This creates a few issues: higher cost associated with downtime, greater intolerance for downtime, and escalating costs of downtime. The Internet era data protection has different requirements. Backup and recovery to and from disk enable better performance than tape. With a greater reliance on disk, capacity reduction techniques can lower the impact of data growth on storage resources, both in volume and in size of files. It can also make the transfer of data within and between sites more efficient, requiring less bandwidth. Data lifecycle management can also take pressure off higher value systems and storage, and introduce cost efficiency so that the value of data can be more aligned to the cost of protecting it. Agentless architectures can alleviate the stress on system processors, and continuous data protection approaches can reduce stress on backup windows or eliminate them altogether. To alleviate the stress on storage systems, cloud storage services can introduce elasticity. Not only will the addition of off-premise storage capacity enable scale, but it can also provide disaster recovery capabilities. To facilitate operational efficiency, reducing or eliminating the need for operator intervention is key. Features that automate or provide real-time local or remote monitoring, reporting, and alerting are just a big plus. Finally, designing data protection environments that can withstand failures and provide business resilience will differentiate solutions. An excellent example of data protection solution that can meet these criteria is Asigra Cloud Backup. Asigra actually has its roots in the distributed computing era. However, the company's design choices and features were always one step ahead, or in this case, one era ahead. The founders, while solving the immediate problems of the day, also had foresight. They anticipated shifts and client needs before they came critical and continuously evolved the solution. The company has also built a solution for flexibility and choice. For example, usage models. Asigra enables hybrid concepts. Hybrid here could mean on or off-premise backup, or both. It could also refer to its use of private or public clouds. Its service-oriented architecture enables a service delivery model as well as a packaged goods approach. Either way, Asigra can engage managed service providers and resellers to participate in distributing its technology, either as a product or a service. Asigra has been a platform for cloud-based backup offerings before it became in vogue. Asigra Cloud Backup's features and design closely match the earlier list of requirements for the Internet computing era. Its agentless architecture streamlines installation and management and reduces the impact on production servers during backup and recovery. Its continuous protection makes the concept of a backup window moot. Efficient use of disk and tape, as well as lifecycle management of backup data, optimizes storage resources. Capacity optimization through data deduplication further aids in economizing storage capacity and network bandwidth. Getting copies of data off-site, especially with disk-only scenarios, can be accomplished in a few ways. Integrated multidirectional replication aids in disaster recovery strategies. Leveraging private or public clouds is another. Asigra demonstrates velocity when it comes to supporting existing and new platforms, operating systems, applications, protocols, storage media, and more. And even the company's licensing model is cloud-ready, standardizing on a capacity-based approach. An Asigra-based data protection environment can deliver many of the benefits important to organizations today. Efficiency and cost-effectiveness top the list. However, scale, whether it's in ease of management, security, and compliance, also make Asigra stand out. To summarize, the Internet computing era has created a new dynamic for data protection. The keys to data protection in this era include scale, resource optimization, minimal operational overhead, and agility and responsiveness to environmental changes. Asigra Cloud Backup is differentiated from other distributed era incumbents. The company has traditionally embraced leading-edge techniques and technology ahead of its time. A great example of this is cloud infrastructure, cloud services, and cloud delivery models. If you're a progressive organization, or you'd like to be, Asigra Cloud Backup might be a good fit for today's Internet era data protection demands.